Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's no secret that Call of Duty for the past several years has sort of monopolized the FPS genre. There's not really any significant competition in the genre at the moment. Call of Duty kind of just dominates it, and that's curious to say considering Call of Duty in recent years hasn't been nearly as successful as it was dating back to, Warzone 1 MW 2019. But by far the biggest competition that COD's seen in general lately from another FPS is in the form of XDefiant. And at this point, we've been talking about XDefiant for a long time, and the game still is not released. But this weekend, XDefiant is back with another play test, another stress test on the servers, and presumably this should be the final time we're able to do one of these tests before the full game launches. And with that today, I wanted to dive back into some XDefiant, talk about how it is Call of Duty's biggest competition, but how it's also already got its own sort of struggles going on that might limit it some too. First things first though, I want to talk about the level of transparency between Call of Duty and XDefiant, because XDefiant did put out some patch notes and some updates for their stress test dropping, and just some of the things that we get in here is really interesting compared to what we usually see over in some Call of Duty patch notes. So they talk about some map updates, some game mode updates. This isn't a big one that we've never seen in Call of Duty before, going in depth about the net code in the patch notes, and even using this terminology. I'll zoom in a little bit more so you guys can read it a little bit better. Made improvements to hit registration and desyncing. We're still working on this. Actively talking about hit reg, wanting to make it feel as reliable and consistent and realistic as possible. Really something we've never heard or seen from Call of Duty. So, that to me stands out a lot. It's a lot harder to fall out of the world and map. Let us know if you manage it. Improved network infrastructure and framework. I like the wording here. It's a little bit more casual. Other parts like this though, where they say audio, various sound improvements and fixes. Really too many to list. So many. I like that they're taking the casual approach here. It's a little bit more relaxed and like fun. At the same time, big things like audio, I would like to have details on, so just my 2 cents there. But this is definitely stuff we don't see from Call of Duty, and I think this is a lot of the promise with XDefiant, this level of communication with the community, the level of transparency here. It's kind of a big selling point here. They go over various other updates, changes with factions, some weapons, attachment updates, different devices, movement, so on and so forth. I also really like this. They have a whole known issues tab as well directly in their patch notes, talking about various things that they are aware aren't currently functioning as intended but should be good to go for launch. Players may appear as offline when they are not offline in the party manager. Speech to text feature is not working on Xbox, and specific HUD elements might be misplaced on PlayStation 5. Various different things like that. I think this is solid. That said, let's jump into some gameplay with XDefiant and talk a little bit about it versus Call of Duty and how it's its biggest competition. All right, so we got to preface, I've spent the last 25 minutes trying to get my controller to work, and it won't work. So we're gonna try keyboard and mouse. I don't really play keys on FPSs. I play keys for everything else, but I haven't on this game. We're gonna see how it goes. Probably not gonna be great, but we'll give it a try. If I suck, you're not allowed to say anything, okay? I get a pass today. But anyways, launch with this game. We were talking about that, and that's sort of the thing with XDefiant right now is launch. Is the game ever actually going to drop? Because the hype for this game honestly was like through the roof long ago when we were in the middle of MW2 and Warzone was just a dumpster fire. Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer was getting like no support and no updates. It just was not great. And so XDefiant came along and suddenly everyone was like, hey, wait a second. Could this be something? Call of Duty like multiplayer? Could it end up turning into something nice? Not like my aim. And it had a lot of hype because people started playing it and it's like, oh, okay, maybe it does. Fair play. But we only got a limited test session on it, right? It wasn't anything too crazy. We got a little taste of it and it was like, okay, there's potential here for sure. But it was limited time. But then we're stuck back. Okay, all we got is MW2 now. Not the greatest thing in the world. People aren't loving it, right? Take the little damage assist. Thank you very much. And then it came back again, and it's like, okay, hey, XDefiant's back on the market. So we've just been able to have little bits and pieces of it. And it's like, okay, surely though, XDefiant's coming out soon, right? We're going to have this competition in the genre. And it just hasn't happened yet. We've seen, get me out of here, get me out of here. Let me stim up real quick. Not used to playing on keys, let me tell you that. But it's a lot of like, is it ever actually going to release? And there's just been delay after delay after delay. I have 0 health right now, bro. I don't deserve to get that kill. Give me behind this. I was trying to get around. It's just been delay after delay after delay, and they really haven't had a solve for releasing the game in the state that they want to release it. And I mean, more power to them for saying, hey, we're not going to release a broken game. We want to make sure we release a product that is working, fully functioning, and that we're proud of, right? They're not just going to release something to release it, which I think we can all say is something COD has done a lot of. But it's also to the point where, hey, did XDefiant maybe miss its window? Because, like I said, at the time, this game was getting all its hype. It's like, okay, COD is at a low point, right? We don't... Teammates? We don't have a super great MP with Modern Warfare 2. Not really much support. Not really enjoying it. Not really listening to the community all that much. Warzone in shambles, as mentioned. Just wasn't going great. But we've since sort of... Good grief. Where's my aim assist? I need it. We're to the point now where it's like, hey, Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer is actually kind of cooking, right? Like, they're updating this game a lot. It's feeling solid. Warzone, we got Rebirth back. We've got solid resurgence updates. We've got ranks play. Everything like that is going well. And XDefiant's main draw was like, hey, it's not MW2. I thought I was going to get that kill, and I was like, there's no way I deserve that one. But Call of Duty sort of rebounded. So the opportunity window for XDefiant definitely passed its peak. If this game would have dropped when all that hype was down there for MW2 at an all-time low, and this game was like the hot new thing, right? It could have launched then and taken over. Now, of course, people would have still gone back to MW3, but the hype would have been there. The question is now, though, when this game does fully release, and keep in mind, we still don't have a full release date. This is the test session, and then after this, we don't know when the game's going to come out. They say, hopefully, you know, this test session will give us all the info we need to lock in a launch date, but even then, that's not guaranteed, right? But it leaves us with this big question mark. And ultimately, this game is going to be that, a big question mark, until we do see it fully launch and fully release. But if it can do so, polished and nice, there is going to be competition in the FPS genre for the first time in some time, right? Which is really, really cool to see. COD's sort of gone unopposed for a while now. Battlefield 2042 sort of rebounded, but initially it kind of flopped, and like COD's been very stagnant, been able to maintain a player base because at the end of the day, it's COD, and there wasn't really, we're not going to talk about the same, wasn't really any competition, right? Did this guy just go invisible? Was that his little ability there? I think I was around a corner there. They said in the patch notes that they buffed the netcode. I have questions. Anyways, COD's sort of been unopposed, right? But this will bring competition regardless. When it does eventually release, this is the shotgun guy. Take that, buddy. When this does eventually release, it will bring competition. And even if this game flops after a month or 3 months or whatever, the fact that it's going to, you know, put some pressure on Call of Duty is ultimately a good thing across the board, because Call of Duty needs the competition for COD to get better, right? If COD just continues to run unopposed, what you know, motivation do they have to get better? So that in and of itself is a good thing. But then you also have this game really challenging COD with things that Call of Duty doesn't really do. The transparency in those patch notes, as we talked about, is a huge thing. Call of Duty doesn't really do that. If they do, it's a very much so one-off thing, I would say. Hey, nice snipe, fair play. In this game, you saw cross-play off, input-based matchmaking off. Those are big things there. Another thing this game has, no skill-based matchmaking in its public modes. You don't have to worry about having a sweat fest if you're playing pubs. It's just going to be connection-based matchmaking or whatever. Then they're going to have their own separate ranked mode that is, you know, based around skill and everything there. But if you want to chill out and just play the game, you can do so. This guy with the sniper's a beast. There's no worry there of COD, hey, we just did really well for 2 games. Enjoy the sweat fest for the next 5 matches. Or, hey, I want to play with my friend who's really not that great at the game, but I'm pretty good, and now his lobbies are going to be super sweaty and he's not going to have a good time. If you want to chill on this game, you can just chill on this game. And that, I think, is really, really solid. Obviously, this game has other cool mechanics. The movement is really clean. Obviously, when I'm on keys, I can't really do the slide canceling as good as I'd like to on controller. But this game's got the movement. It's got the very much so arcadey gunplay, which I also think is interesting because with Gulf War coming up, a Treyarch title, Treyarch's gunplay has always been very arcadey, right? That's sort of their style of COD and their brand of COD. Now, we are on the IW9 engine or whatever it is that Treyarch really hasn't done before. They've always been on their own engine, and now we're all on this unified one across MW. This guy was behind me. Across MW, across all titles, really I should say across Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, and Treyarch. Everyone's on the same engine now, so I'm really curious to see if Gulf 4 still has that Treyarch style feel. But this is definitely sort of not a one-to-one, obviously, but definitely replicating a Treyarch style COD in a certain way with its arcadey-like features. So there's a lot of similarities here across the board that could pose for some very solid competition. There's so many guys here. I need to stand up and heal. There's also a guy above me. Is he gonna peek over? No, I think we're good. Hello, everyone on the enemy team. Hello, other everyone on the enemy team. Good grief. But yeah, the challenges that this game is posing on COD is really, really solid. They're doing a lot of things that it's like the COD community has been saying, hey, can we get X? Can we get Y? Can we get Z? And you don't really hear anything from COD. And then this game rolls in and it's like, hey, we're doing X, Y, and Z. And that gets attention outright. You obviously have Mark Rubin, formerly on COD, so he knows the player base and definitely has been playing into that fact for some time on his socials. We about to win? My stats are gonna be absolutely garbage this game. Hey, I'm positive though, and that's all I care about. For having to randomly play on keys when I have no settings locked in or anything, I'll take that. So all the potential is there. There is untapped potential with this game in terms of challenging COD. The matter of when is the game going to release, is it ever actually going to release though, is so huge. Like, this is Call of Duty's biggest threat, but one, has it missed its window? Has it lost that chance to really take over? And two, is it going to be able to sustain life post-launch enough to really impose that threat on Call of Duty? It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I enjoy the game. It's very fun to play, especially when I can play controller and that works. But I mean, the potential is there. So I'm really curious to see if Call of Duty has any responses to this going into Gulf War, especially with the level of transparency and community-based updates that XDefiant has clearly pushed for here. It's good. Ultimately, it's good. Competition in the genre means Call of Duty has to improve or it will lose players to other games like this. That being said though, if you did enjoy the non-COD content, do me a favor, drop a like. It does really let me know if you guys want to see more content like this. And if you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.